I was wrong. I was wrong, and I'm sorry. I apologize for it. It's not Zealot. It's not Zealot. I know I just triggered all of you. The Starfield Direct flooded us with a ton of new information, but also had several updates to features we've already seen. Specifically, the character creator touts some very impressive features, but also makes a few changes. Welcome to Starfield Signal, your place for everything Starfield. I am your host, Luke, and if you're like me, you can spend hours just losing yourself while you're creating your character in an RPG. This is the character creation overview from the Starfield Direct. The first thing I want to note in this section is it's really not a part of the character creation, but I just absolutely love this clean and simple and sleek look of this specific menu. I'm not sure if this is just kind of a character information menu or what, but I really am digging the design of it. It looks very clean, very minimal. It looks good.
I'm the type of person who spends hours in character creation, and I think people are going to be really excited when they see all of the improvements we've made.
One of the biggest overhauls was done through our character generation system. We scanned a wide range of faces from different age groups and ethnicities, and by mixing and matching all that data, we were able to create highly detailed and diverse characters.
We use that exact system to create all of the characters and NPCs you're going to see in the game. So any character you see almost always is a character you could make yourself.
I absolutely love this section. So they start out with just kind of letting you know how they've built this system. And so in other interviews and other articles, I've seen where they use the same system of photogrammetry that they use for like scanning structures and scanning landscapes to kind of make it seem more realistic and give you even more detail as opposed to simply designing that from scratch. They take reality, scan it into their system, and then they're able to kind of bend it and warp it and customize it from there. And so they're giving you essentially not just kind of making these things for you, these presets, but they're giving you the ability to use the same tools and the same systems that they used to create all of their NPCs. And I love it that they're saying, hey, it's kind of the equivalent in character creation, right? Of, hey, see that mountain over there, you can go to it, or see that moon over there, you can fly to it. They're saying, see that person there? You can make them. You can recreate their look, their aesthetic, their facial structure, their body type. All of these tools are available to you. And I think that is awesome, especially considering it's so detailed. I mean, even this frame right here, just as far, I mean, the face looks great. The eyes look good. The hair, the texture looks really great as well. Sometimes hair is just really hard to pull off unless you're just doing very generic hair. And I think they did a fantastic job. And of course, we have some like digital face tattoos going on there, which is a nice little flair for your character. Okay, in this next section here,
come on.
Originally,
okay,
I got very excited about this because I thought that this was the start of the game.
Damage. Mentally, the jury's still out. You know who you are?
Okay, so this is how they kind of introduce you into the character creation system, and I got very excited about this, and it's still exciting, but I thought at first this was the start of the game. I thought this is, you wake up just like you do in Skyrim. Oh, you're awake, like a lot of people joke. And I was like, okay, this is how you start the game. This is really cool that they're showing us this. But then on second look, I noticed, look at what she's holding. That is one of our artifacts. You see all the little glyphs on it, all the little markings, and the size and the shape and the structure of it. This is one of the artifacts that we're going to be hunting for. So I'm not necessarily saying that this isn't at the start of the game, but I don't think this is the very start of the game. I imagine the very start of the game will be you helping these guys in your mining operation, and then you find the artifact and you go to touch it, and that's where that cutscene happens that we saw in the last reveal trailer. You go to touch it and you kind of have that vision, right? You have the visions, and that vision is what makes you pass out, or knocks you unconscious, or whatever happens. And now we find ourselves here in this situation. So it's not at the very start of the game, is what my theory is, but it's maybe 10 minutes into it, 15 minutes in, 20 minutes in, depending on how long that intro sequence is. This made me think a little bit about Oblivion and how, you wake up in your cell, in your dungeon, and the Emperor comes in, and then you kind of go through a little mini dungeon, a little mini tutorial, and then to the end of that, before you go out into the world, you finalize your character. And so I thought it's a little bit like that. It gives you a little bit of a preamble of the story and the combat and kind of the feel of the game, and then it lets you nail down your character, which I think is cool. And so lots of people are speculating that this lovely second lady here is a nod to Skyrim grandma, Shirley Curry. Definitely has some similar features. I'm not sure. I know that they did invite her into the studio to scan her in. That I thought that was specifically for Elder Scrolls 6. Maybe in light of everything taking so long, they decided to go ahead and include her here as well. If so, that is a very cool nod from Bethesda to one of their more popular fans. Shirley seems to be very cool. I'm glad she's in the community, and that's really awesome she's in here. This cycles through a few more presets. Again, there's just a wide variety from race to color of skin to hair to facial structure. You even see some cosmetics in there as well with the earrings. I'm very impressed by these defaults, by these presets. And even here, this looks a little bit like, this guy here. This looks a little bit like John Cleese, right? Am I off there? John Cleese from Monty Python and several other things that he's extremely famous for. I can't think of any more off the top of my head. Fable 3. He was in Fable 3, so that was cool. Again, just some more presets. Again, notice just their work on the hair. I think it looks really good. Of course, different races have different texture hair, different density hair, and this definitely looks like they've put some effort into it to make it look unique to what would make sense for this race. So big kudos to them for that. And real quick, I just want to make a note about this specific, and really all of these presets that they gave us. I mean, they really look like real people. I mean, it looks phenomenal. I mean, obviously they scanned this preset in and it was a person, and but this looks like this, and I don't mean this in a bad way. This doesn't look like, okay, a galactic hero, right? This looks like your uncle, or this looks like your cousin, or this looks like your teacher at school. And I love how just real that kind of that draws you into the game, creates this sense of realism, creates this sense of immersion that just every little bit helps. And I love the detail that they've put into this. Okay, and then we get back over to the customization. So again, you can kind of change your body type from muscular to thin to heavy, and they kind of have this whole wheel, this spectrum. So I like it that these aren't necessarily just sliders, but they've kind of made this a spectrum, so you can be a little bit of a combination of both if you want to. And again, just these seems like a really good system.
Your journey from there can
change your body type, your walk style still. You can change, even from this preset, you can change your skin tone on down towards the bottom.
This new system has more to offer than ever before.
And I love how obviously that's kind of marketing speak, right? Oh, this new system is better than ever before, and this is the biggest thing we made, and this is the best thing we made. And you kind of, as a consumer, you kind of expect things to get better and better and bigger and bigger. But, this is kind of confirming that, hey, they've taken everything that they've learned over the past 25 years, and they've integrated it into this experience in Starfield. And so we're getting the best of all the different worlds that they've made, all the different systems they've made. They finally coalesced into this beautiful thing that we're calling Starfield, and I cannot wait to get our hands on it. Okay, again, right here, we stop and see, I don't think we saw this in the original gameplay trailer, so this is an interesting addition. So here, just kind of looking at the facial structure, I believe, you can go from square to round, from tight to wide, and it looks like this is really giving you a lot of customization options even from these presets. Again, lots of different hairstyles to choose from, and what it looks about maybe 45 or 50 different hairstyles at this point, if that's 40 right there. Let's see. So this is about half right here. That's about half of half. So yeah. So if this is 50, what that would be 25. That would be 40. So maybe not quite 40, maybe like 45.
It's also the simplest character generation system we've ever had. We let the player get as close as possible to make whatever they want.
I like how he notes that even within, you're coming into this very complex and very sophisticated system, he says we've also really tried to make it the simplest system to where it's intuitive and it makes sense. You're not going to be spending hours in this because it's confusing or because you're making mistakes left and right and you can't get what you want. You're going to be spending hours in this because you want to keep tweaking and keep making it exactly how you want to. And that's exciting. Again, lots of different options for hair color, hairstyles. If that's about middle, we can probably expect maybe 20 or 25 different hair colors to choose from. Let's keep moving.
With the various facial morphs you can blend.
Lots of different eye colors there as well. I think we scrolled through. Let's see what there was, kind of a brown, orange, blue,
the various facial morphs,
a few other options we didn't get to see. Lots of different options for facial hair as well. See down here, and so let's see. Let's scroll through that again.
Dermesthetic. Yeah, that's
so facial hair. If this is 12 right here, that's about halfway. That's 12. Then we maybe have 20, 19, 18, 19, 20 different facial hair settings. So everywhere from kind of a scruffy beard to more prominent featured mustaches or beards or goatees.
Scars, piercings, teeth settings.
I love it.
But I think it's the most fun to use.
So I'm curious to see what all the different teeth settings look like. I have kind of a little gap in my front teeth, so maybe I can make my character look like me. That would be fun.
Character creation is more,
or maybe you can make it look like really nasty.
than just how you look. This is also where you start to decide who you want to be. That's where backgrounds come in.
Okay. So this is where we start seeing a lot of changes, and just kind of little ones at first. I didn't even notice it at first, but there are a lot of little changes here. So let's get into that. So I have a whole different video kind of breaking down every single background, every single trait that we've seen. So I'm not going to go through quite as in depth here because a lot of that is similar, if not the same, but there have been some updates. But that said, we have not seen the Explorer background yet, and this is front and center here. So let's take a look. It says Explorer. They said exploration is a lost art, and you didn't listen. As the major factions argued over the space they desperately tried to control, you were busy uncovering the wonders of the settled systems. I like that. It's kind of the heart of the game, right? Our starting skills for Explorer are lasers, astrodynamics, and surveying. One of the updates they've made to backgrounds, to the screen specifically, and this goes for all of the different backgrounds as we'll see here in just a moment, but instead of putting the functional trait in here, or the functional description, like, okay, lasers, this is going to give you 10% more damage with lasers, or astrodynamics, this is going to give you, a 5%, 10% boost, or whatever this is. It's giving you more of just a description of these traits and kind of what you can expect to get from them, not necessarily the specific bonus or buff that you get from them. That will probably be just revealed in the actual skill tree, where you get to kind of make those decisions and upgrade your path, so to speak. I'm honestly not sure if I like this better or worse. On one hand, I like it that they are not going to kind of bog you down with too many details here. right at the start, but just kind of giving you an idea of what you can expect from these. But at the same time, I feel like if you're someone who wants to know, okay, well, what exactly is this going to do for me? You would want to know, okay, is this going to be a 5% boost to damage with lasers? Is it a 10% boost first? What's the upgrade path there? Because you can still get these skills later on as you upgrade your character through the RPG mechanics. These are just your starting skills. And so it makes sense to me to know, okay, well, what am I starting with? Because, what bonus is this actually giving me from picking this background with these skills? Because I could still go in and get the lasers bonus. So is this going to be beneficial to me, or can I just come and get that later? So I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments. Is this better or worse than having the details in here? Let me know in the comments. That said, we have not seen this astrodynamics just yet, and it reads, advanced technology is one thing, but it takes skill, patience, and a little bit of love to coax even more capability out of a ship's grav drive. So we've speculated that there could be skills attached to your ship combat, your ship flight, and this is proof of that we know we can upgrade our ship dynamics through the skill system. So that's good. Again, over here, this is a new one we have not seen yet. Surveying. Humanity now has access to untold alien worlds, and the ability to decipher all that data while on the ground has become an essential skill set. So this probably, and as we can see, it kind of has a picture of your scanner here. This may be, again, we don't know, right? Because we don't have a specific detailed description of what this skill actually does. So does this increase your scan range by 50 yards, by 5%? Does it allow you to scan new items that maybe weren't scannable before? We don't know. And so I'm wondering if after this, this screen, once we get from our backgrounds to our traits and then on to the skills, will those show up and then clarify, okay, this is exactly what these skills do. For now, let's move on through here. So we get to Diplomat, and we get to Cyberneticist, get Cyber Runner, Combat Medic, and then we end up on Chef. And this is what he kind of draws out. So let's go back and look at each one of these individually because there are some changes. So for Diplomat, the description is the same. Persuasion is the same, but where commerce is, this used to be diplomacy. And where wellness is, this used to be bargaining. This is a little confusing to me. You would think that a diplomat would have the diplomacy skill. And so why would they change that out? Why would they trade that out for something else? This commerce skill looks very interesting. I'm excited about it because, you know me, I'm very excited for the economy in this game and how you can affect that. Not infect, how you can affect that. But for a diplomat, a starting skill, shouldn't we have diplomacy in there? Now, I've heard some other content creators suggest that, well, diplomacy looks like it's been upgraded as far as like it's a higher ranking skill. And so maybe that's why it's not going to just give that to you as a starting skill, but it's going to give you the foundation to get to that skill quicker. That's possible. Still though, as a diplomat, you would want to have diplomacy as a skill. So I feel like that's a little bit of a cop-out, but I'm not going to complain too much. I will say that the whole wellness thing is that's more confusing to me. Why would you change out bargaining, which is what it was before, for wellness in a diplomat? There's some very, very strange changes here. I'm not exactly sure why. If you have thoughts or theories on that, let me know in the comments because I'm racking my brain and I can't think of anything right now. Okay, and then we get to Cyberneticist. Again, the description is the same. Medicine is the same, but one of its skills have been changed. It has security here, and before it had robotics. And so what changed? Lasers is still the same. So medicine is the same, and lasers are the same. The description's the same. This is different. So why is it different? It says security. While the standardized digital locking mechanism is renowned for its own security, any code can be broken with the proper training. And so to have this as opposed to robotics, which that description read that you deal 10% more damage to robots and turrets, that kind of makes sense, right? As someone who's in tune with cybernetics. Again, not exactly sure why they made this decision. Again, it could be that maybe robotics was a higher ranking skill. They wanted to start you out with kind of a base for that to help you get there quicker. Possible, I don't know. Same thing with Cyber Runner here, but I love that they give us stealth as the new option as opposed to pistols, which is what it was before. It was pistols, security, and then persuasion. And so they changed out, we still have security in there, that was the same, but stealth and theft were not in there. This was pistols, so pistol right there, and then it was persuasion here. So I like it that they changed stealth out, because I don't think we saw stealth as a starting skill before. So I think that's great, and this is going to make this background and this starting skill very popular, because lots of people love to run a stealth character in Bethesda games because they're just fun. And for a Cyber Runner, having theft, that makes honestly a bit more sense to me than persuasion. I get the whole idea of, like, if you're in Neon, you're kind of like a smooth talker, kind of, just trying to make things work, and maybe you get yourself into trouble, you need to talk yourself out. But I think that theft probably rings a little more true to this character role that you would be playing. And combat medic here is, again, mostly the same. Same thing here. Pistol certification is the same. Medicine is the same. Wellness was traded in for weightlifting. They had weightlifting in the original medic, and that made sense to me just because as a medic, you would carry around a large pack. You might carry someone off of the battlefield. You needed to be able to carry a little bit more of a load. Of course, wellness makes just as much sense, right? It doesn't have that specific detail of the skill here, but I think it was like, you get an extra so many points of health. So again, it makes sense as a combat medic to be able to do that. And then we finally land on a chef here. Again, same name, same description. We still have gastronomy. We still have dueling. Maybe it's because you're good with knives as a chef. But scavenging is different. Originally, right here, this skill was wellness, which we just saw in the combat medic, which makes sense as well. Wellness makes sense. If you eat healthy, you have extra health. Makes sense. But they chose to put scavenging in here. And this description says there are those who can find just about anything, and their success is usually dependent on knowing how and where to look. As a chef, you might say, okay, well, he knows how to use resources well, or he knows how to find things out in the wilderness to put together, a meal at any time. Sure, but I feel like this is scavenging that's maybe going to connect more to like loot and loot finding. So I'm unsure. I haven't seen the specifics of this skill yet, but the wellness kind of made more sense to me. We'll see.
With 3 basic skills.
From chef to dusty. The crew still has a betting pool about which restaurant critic you must have crossed to wind up here.
What's great about backgrounds is you never know when yours is going to come in handy. You could be in the middle of a fancy restaurant talking to some guy, and suddenly you learn he needs a beast hunter to help track down a monster.
I really like this, and this was something that they had kind of alluded to before, and we had seen, like, as far as the diplomat goes, like in the original one, right? There was a guy who said, having a way with words would come in handy. Here we just get another example of that, where if you're a chef or you're a beast hunter, I think was the background, then you might run into someone who needs your services. And I think that's a great way to make these decisions feel like they matter, right? Because if you overhear someone having a conversation, and let's say you chose to be a chef, and you hear someone having a conversation in this restaurant you're eating at, well, you might think, oh, I missed out on that, right? And you want to have a little bit of that FOMO, like not a lot. You don't want to manipulate that. You don't want to lean into it too hard, but just a little bit of FOMO to make people think like, oh, I'm going to write that down, or I'm going to make a note of that. And my next character, I'm going to be a beast hunter and see what I can do with that quest. I think that is really, really cool.
Fine. I probably should stick to professionals anyway, given what happened the last time.
We're also giving you the option to customize your build even further by letting you pick up to 3 traits. Traits are completely optional, and they come with their own advantages and disadvantages.
Okay, so here we get into the traits section, and let's just rewind just a bit.
3 traits.
These, so far, let's see, Ray's Universal. This is the same as what it was last time. It was updated from June to October, where Todd Howard did a constellation question. And so this isn't the same as it was in June, but it hasn't changed since that October interview with Todd Howard. It does say for the Sanctum Universum, you gain access to a special chest full of items. And I think originally it was like you get access to a special store. So they changed it to a chest full of items. And then moving along that goes to Ray's Enlighten, it's the same thing for the House of the Enlightened. You get a chest full of items there. And then go to Neon Street Rat. I'm pretty sure this is the same as well. Yeah, you get access to special dialogue options, better rewards for some missions on Neon, and has something to do with your bounty system with other factions. So all of those are the same.
And they come with their own advantage.
Kid stuff has changed. I know everyone is very, very interested about these traits, and we get to see your parents in this specific playthrough here in just a moment. But kid stuff, originally, this was you automatically send, I think it was 10% of all of your credits to them, or all of your earned credits. And now it reads a little bit different. So it's the percentage is updated to 2%, but it also says, but you will automatically send 2% of your credits home to them every week. We know that time is modeled in Starfield, right? Because they have orbits. They have the stars moving and the planets moving and the moons moving and orbiting each other. So we know that that's modeled, but even in this kind of smaller aspect of the game, this trait, we know that, okay, it's going to keep track of time. It's going to keep track of the days and the weeks and the months. And that's really unique as well. We've never really had a time mechanic in a game just yet, other than, okay, change it today, change it tonight. It'll take you, 3 days to get from this town to that town. But there really wasn't any kind of, that didn't matter, right? And now you might think to yourself, like, well, okay, I have to send 2% of my credits home to them every week. Is this going to be like every Monday, every Sunday? Do I need to spend some of my credits? If I'm trying to build up to have enough to buy this awesome ship that I want to buy, do I need to buy that ship before that time comes around when I have to send 2% of my money to my parents? Or if I don't make it by that point, then I'm not going to have enough to buy my ship. I'm going to have to go grind some more. Interesting things to think about. But that nice lady on here with the pink hair said that your parents were sweet, so maybe you don't mind as much. I don't know. Introvert is the same as well. Well, it's a little bit, it reads a little bit different, but it's the same. Originally, it said that you had more endurance. Now it says you use less oxygen when you're adventuring alone. Originally, it said you have more endurance when you're adventuring alone. It's the same thing because your oxygen and CO2 kind of functions as your endurance, as your sprint endurance, as maybe even exerting melee strikes, sprinting. All of those things are going to use your endurance, most likely, or are going to use your oxygen. And then we get to hero worship, and they spend a moment on this. And I'm not as crazy about this as other people are. I mean, it's fun, it's fine. But evidently this got a big fan reaction at the Direct. I saw a lot of reactions to this. I'm happy for you.
You could choose to meet your biggest fan.
Vectera, by Vectera, by Vectera! Is it really, really you?
He'll join your crew, and he'll give you gifts, if you're willing to put up with his constant commentary.
I can't believe I get to stand near you, breathing the same air. I've got to have every molecule.
My favorite trait.
They make him sound creepy for sure. So I think it's going to be interesting to play with and interesting to see what people do with this. Maybe there will be like a compilation video uploaded to YouTube, like the top 5, top 10 ways to get rid of this trait if you wanted to. They're going to talk about that later.
Trait is kid stuff. You have to pay some credits to support
Okay,
your
and
parents,
Dana here
but they're very
talks about
sweet,
kid
and
stuff.
It's really fun to go visit them.
And this is the house that we see our parents have. And so we're all kind of speculating, right? Like, what is the in-game benefit to having your parents, to having them, have a house? Is this going to give you extra storage? Are they going to have some sort of chest full of goodies, kind of like the Raised Enlightened or the Raised Universal, that you could go through every so often? Maybe it's as simple as, hey, you get 3 extra health packs every week or something like that. I think it would be interesting if maybe your dad or your mom works for one of the manufacturers, right? Works for one of the brands that we've seen in here. And maybe you'll be able to get 5% off or 10% off from ship parts from that manufacturer. That would be really interesting. But for now, we still don't exactly know, as far as functionally, what the use of your parents are. That sounds bad. Obviously, if you're playing a role, if you want to role play with this, it's a very cool mechanic, and I love it that they put it in here. I'm just really curious as to, if there's any deeper or detailed or more functional gameplay mechanics at work here that we don't know about yet.
Visit them.
Honey, we got ourselves a visitor.
Oh my god!
I came across some hostile zealots in space, but because I had chosen a trait that made me the same religion as them, I was able to get by without any issues.
So I think this is really cool. Again, kind of going back to that example we saw with being a beast hunter, and somebody was having a conversation in a restaurant. I need a beast hunter. Come on. Well, I'll pay you. This is also, it's giving you, it's reinforcing your decisions that you've made, or even making you feel a little bit of that FOMO, like, oh, I could have made that decision and then not had to engage this fleet of ships in combat. So I love it that they're making these decisions matter, not only from a standpoint of role playing, but also from a standpoint of gameplay and potentially even main story events that unfold, and especially as we'll see side story content as well. Very, very cool. Okay, so this is the point where I have to say I was wrong. I was wrong, and I'm sorry. I apologize for it, but I messed up. The last trait that we saw, if you watch my original video about the traits, it's not Zealot. It's not Zealot. I know I just triggered all of you. It's not Zealot. I thought it was going to be Zealot, but it's not. It is Wanted, and kudos to all of you who in that video, in the comments, you said, maybe it's Wanted, maybe it's this, and you kind of called that shot. So you guys are awesome who did that, but I love it. How does he explain what this trait is again? Let's listen.
It gives you a damage buff when your health is low, but mercenaries will randomly show up and try to kill you.
Okay, so the buff, the perk of this trait is that when your health is low, you get a damage buff. Now, if you're a Dark Souls player, you know all about this, because that's that risk reward thing, right? We've seen a lot of people do that, but I think this is a really good trait. I think it's very exciting, not only that risk reward of keeping your health lower, maybe not healing as soon as you could, just to get a little bit of an extra damage boost, a little bit of buff, but then there's that added sense of, okay, I just want to go explore and chill on this deserted planet, or this moon where no one's ever been before, but someone's following you, right? And so you don't know if they're going to show up as you're trying to build your outpost or set up some sort of trading, some sort of trade route. You always have people hunting you down, and I think that really could be cool for people who want a little bit extra a push to kind of just be looking over their shoulder, just a little bit of that kind of extra anxiety, just to make your your gameplay and your exploration just a little sharper, I think that could be a really neat gameplay mechanic.
No matter what you choose, there will be plenty of ways for.
Here again, we see where there's a dialogue option for diplomat, and boy, this guy looks rough, doesn't he? I mean, I know we've seen him before from the Freestar Collective, but whew, he looks really rough now. Like his skin is all white and patchy. He does not look good. I hope he's okay.
For you to tell your story.
And here we get another dialogue option for the Cyber Runner.
And if you want to remove a trait, there are ways to do that too.
What a view! It's a feast for the eyes. Off we go.
That's your unwanted, your adoring fan.
We'll let you discover that on your own.
Yeah. This is a good section. Lots of new outfits and spacesuits. Let's go back and look at those one more time. Look at the variety here.
On your own.
I mean, from here, we have a very kind of combat-focused spacesuit. We have the combat tech rifle, or machine gun, or assault rifle, whatever that is. Have another completely different looking, kind of almost like a SWAT outfit, right? And he has kind of this beanie on, like he's going in like he's a Navy SEAL or something. And also notice his weapon. This looks a lot more high-tech than maybe what we've seen before. It looks like maybe he even has some sort of thermal scope on here. We did see some thermal scope features in the gameplay. So this could be like a hardcore mercenary or something. All right. And this is really interesting. So at first I was like, oh, okay, this character has a gas mask on for going to planets that may have poison gas, but I think he's a neon or he's somewhere. I mean, nobody else has a gas mask on, so this dude's just rocking it for style. Or we did see briefly evidence that you can get infections. You can get infected, and so maybe if you're infected, you have to wear a mask. Hitting a little close to home, maybe if you're infected, you have to wear a mask out in public or you get fined. Very interesting. This guy just kind of looks, this looks like our space trucker, right? Got the trucker hat on, got the jacket, he's got Todd's jacket on, he's got kind of a brawny plaid shirt, and it looks like he's kind of in a mess hall or something. This character looks very cool. Has maybe some lights up here on top of his helmet. Just has a visor, not a full enclosed helmet on. And then just all of these things over here. It's looking very, very good. A lot of these look more put together and more detailed than what we've seen before of the different outfits and the different spacesuits and the different armors. So everything's getting more and more detailed. They're adding more and more polish. I'm very excited for this game, you guys. All right. And then here we have like a more casual outfit, which is very neat. Something you would wear just out into town, or if you wanted to go and relax or just buy some ship parts. You don't necessarily need all your armor on. Maybe you're going to do some trading, do a little dialoguing with people trying to get some good deals. So it's just kind of a cool casual outfit here. Again, we've got someone who looks like, honestly, this reminds me a little bit of the like visors or the helmets that they have in Return of the Jedi. You know what I'm talking about? Just there's something about that aesthetic that makes me think of Return of the Jedi. I'll try to like put an image of that on the video so you know what I'm talking about. But even more, yeah, like his rifle here looks a bit more like a hunting rifle, right? Has a longer scope right here, like a wooden stock. It's very interesting. Then another here. This lady's on a moon, it looks like, or an asteroid or something. And she's in full helmet, full glass. Again, has all of these like hoses kind of running everywhere. I think this is one we saw briefly in the date launch announcement video, where we're kind of looking over the shoulder and looking onto developer screens. I think I remember this green cowl here. Looks very, very interesting. Like this was kind of more put together. Even has this like little pin just kind of like dangling off right there. It's a very interesting outfit. I like it. I like it a lot. Thank you to all of our patrons and our channel members for supporting the channel. Thank you for watching and liking the videos. If you're not already subscribed, this would be a great time to do so. There are a lot more videos coming out, and you want to make sure not to miss those. It is such a joy to be able to celebrate this game with you all. I'm so proud of the positive and excited community that we've made together. I can't thank you enough. But for now, may you find wonder as you journey through the stars.